Hey everybody, thank you so much for stopping in for Facebook Live. We have been so crazy busy this afternoon that I had to do like 14,000 things all at once, but you know, as a former teacher and a mom, you know how that goes. We're used to it. So thank you for popping in. I see we've got 3 viewers, so I'm going to get started. And I do have the first one up, thanks to Courtney. Courtney, you are so wonderful. And I've been thinking about your sweater, and I think you're right. Either one of the ones that you have thought about are going to work. And we're just going to find the perfect yarn for it. Hey, Diane and Lori. Serena, awesome. Oh, thank you, Lori. I appreciate it. I wore it today to talk about. This is the Ranoculus, but I knit it out of Air, which is a DK yarn by Barocco. Okay, so I'm going to give a little plug to my daughter. I got my Christmas present today. This is pink leather, because y'all know how crazy I am about pink. This is pink leather. It comes from her company, Reatta Leather, and that's R-E-A-T-T-A Leather Company. And she asked me if I wanted it to be lined, but I told her no, because I really like that feel and look. So here's the inside. Can't see it so good, but isn't it dreamy? Katie, thank you. I haven't had a chance to call you, but thank you, sweetheart. I love you. Okay, so let's get started. This is Sweater Challenge class number 2. And in my email that I sent out this past weekend, I said that we were going to talk about the importance of gauge. And I'll tell you why I came up with that reasoning. I had a customer come in, and she was doing a top-down sweater. She's a beautiful knitter. She received some yarn from a friend that the friend had actually spun herself. And so, you know, when you get stuff, when you get yarn that's been done that way, there's no tag that says, ooh, try this needle. So we have to think about wraps per inch. And unfortunately, because I'm sitting here, my wraps per inch tool is over there, or I would show it to you. So things like that help us to determine what type of needle to use. Well, bless her heart, she was using a needle that was a bit too small. The knit was beautiful because she is a beautiful knitter, but it was so firm. You know, it was going to end up feeling more like, you know, shoulder pads than it would a nice soft drapey sweater. So that made me think, you know, there are times where even I have really messed up on gauge because I wasn't so excited to get started that I didn't swatch. I knit a hat for a friend of mine, and I knit it out of yarn that was larger than what the pattern called for. And I thought, no big deal. Well, I knit it on the size needles it called for, but it made it like a football helmet. And I literally could stand it up on the table. So that's why swatching is important, especially with sweaters, because you want it to really fit. And I talked about this last time. It's always best to really use the yarn that it calls for, or even just the gauge that it calls for. Or the yarn, like if it calls for DK yarn or worsted weight or something like that. And in the past, I have helped people, you know, they said, well, you know, I really like this yarn. How can we change it? Well, there's a formula, and we'll talk about that another time. Today's class is just on swatching, trying to find that perfect needle and perfect yarn. The rule of thumb is whatever the ball band says, that's typically the size needle you use, but there's no hard and fast rule for that. So don't worry so much about, you know, I have to use a size 6 or whatever. So here's the deal. I've come up with these swatches. I've been knitting swatches for 2 days. Oh my gosh, I know if Martha's watching, or if she watches later, she's gonna say, oh, I'm so proud of you. So what I've done, I've taken these pages and I knit it in 3 size needles. And I didn't necessarily knit it in what it called for, but I knit everything on a 6, an 8, and a 10. And I wanted to show you the difference and how each side, you know, each different size looks. So do you want a sweater that is made out of chunky yarn and you want it to be real dense? Like, are you going skiing and you need extra thickness and tightness? Could you grab that for me, please? Thank you so much. The puppy's interested in all kinds of stuff. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to look at, this is Madeline Tosh. It's merino light with tweed, and typically it comes with 420 yards, and they tell you to use a size 1 or 2. Well, I've been knitting the Gracious sweater on a size 6 with TML copper. Okay, so let's take a look. I did not use a 1 or 2, but this is on a 6. And right now, I don't know if you can see, I've got the sun on the other side, but this is a size 6. This is a comfortable, soft fabric, and it's not dense. Do you see? It folds over my thumb, so I know it's comfortable. Let's say I wanted to knit it on an 8. Okay, here's the 8. It's a little bit loftier. It's a little bit, see how I can pull on it like that? If I pull this, you can't see my thumbs, and I don't pull it as far. But here I can pull it pretty far. An 8 would be okay. Now, the sweater I have on, that's why I wore it, is a Ranoculus, and you can knit it on everything from a lace weight yarn to DK or worsted, but you're going to have a different look. And so when I knit this out of the DK, I was a little on the disappointed side because it was such wasn't the look I wanted. Now it draped, it's beautiful, but I wanted it to be a little bit more see-through, so I probably should have knit it maybe on an 8 instead of that 6. The one on the top is a 10. I think if I did the Ranoculus in a 10, it would still be okay. My daughter Liz wants one that's in a lace weight, and I'll probably do that in a 10 because it's supposed to be very airy. It's the look that you want, that you can't just go and say, oh, I want that yarn, we're gonna make a sweater out of it. You have to think about the look that you want, and we've got to work at it. Okay, so when you look at, these are my gauges, and again, it's backwards, and I don't know how to fix that. It'll be all right. So in a 10, I get 20 stitches per inch. Well, that's worsted weight, right? 20 stitches per 4 inches. That's fine. So on an 8, it's 24 stitches per 4 inches, and then on a 6, it's 28 stitches per 4 inches. In the pattern that I knit in this, it worked out just fine, especially the Gracious, because I did the Gracious in this yarn. These are the swatches I just finished, and this is what's so interesting. Farm Twist is 2 strands of TML twisted, and they say that it is a DK yarn. It's not a DK yarn, because look, Ultra Wool is worsted. Farm Twist is considered DK. It's a very lofty yarn, and in that respect, I mean, it takes up space. If you knit it on a smaller needle, it'll be fine. It'll be more dense. Okay, so with Ultra Wool, because this is worsted, this is the 6. You can kind of see behind me. See how you can see a lot of air through here? You can see a little bit through here, but on the 6, none, hardly any at all. Typically, on a worsted weight, you're gonna knit an 8, okay? So with Farm Twist, it's a lofty yarn. I knit 2 sweaters. The sweater I had on the other day, the Soldatna, is knit in Farm Twist, and the crop top that I showed you, just the top part, that is also knit in Farm Twist. I like knitting on a size 6. That's kind of my thing. So with this, it's 22 stitches on a size 6. That's DK. We're good. But on an 8, which is worsted, typically you use 8 with worsted, I got 20 stitches for 4 inches. Well, that's also worsted. That's why swatching is important. Sometimes people say, oh, just use a smaller needle, or oh, just use a bigger needle. If you don't swatch, you won't know what your fabric's gonna look like, and that smaller needle can create fabric that you would use for a hot pad, okay? It'll make it a little thick. Now, here, I was talking to Martha last night, just having fun, talking about all kinds of stuff, and she mentioned mochi. And she said, mochi is an Aran weight yarn, and you can use like a size 9 or a size 10. I used a size 10 up here. And she said the cool thing about it is, because it's such a lofty yarn, it's very light. And so this could be something that you would want to use. So I'm going to show you a pattern that, okay, you see that? That's a top-down pattern. That's knit with mochi. If you get the emails from Barocco, this is the kit that they're saying, oh, call your LYS and ask them for that kit. So, I mean, we have it. I have the yarn and it's easy for me to order for you. It's a fisherman's rib. So if you are not familiar with a fisherman's rib, it's kind of like cheating brioche. So it's a lot of fun. And I believe that I have that on my YouTube channel too. So this is fun. So let's talk about mochi real quick. Let me take my pin out. So I wish y'all could feel it. It's another one of those tube kind of yarns that they blow some fiber into. It is so light and delicate, but look how substantial it is. This is knit on a 6, this is on an 8, and this is on the 10. Look, you still can't see through it. That's what I mean by lofty. It takes up that, what is it called, grist? It's the grist that it offers you. It's the space that the yarn takes up once it's been knit. And I want you to know that all of my swatches have been steamed. I didn't get them wet. I steamed everything, but I didn't pull it. Sometimes, you know, we do lots of blocking for people, and y'all will tell me, make it bigger, make it longer. And so we'll stretch it. Well, when you do a swatch, you don't want to stretch it. So what I did, I put a blocking comb right here, and I just steamed it up. I didn't pull at it or anything. This is just plain flat swatching. Okay, and it's important that you either steam it or get it wet and let it dry, because it'll change quite a bit. That green one I showed you earlier, made out of ultra wool, it was curled up like this. How could you find out what your gauge is if it's curled up like this? Okay, so let's take a look. You get 191 yards in mochi, and it's 16 stitches on a 9. Well, in 4 inches. If you look at my gauge, I'm not quite there. I have, on a 10, I have 18 stitches. On an 8, I have 20. On a 6, I have 24. So it's just me. And sometimes people tell me, oh, my gauge differs from day to day, it differs from time of day, all kinds of things. All right, ooh, we've got 21 people watching, woohoo, hey everybody. All right, the last one I want to go over, and I just happen to have, it's not that all I use is Madeline Tosh, it's just what was on my table. I was looking for everything from fingering to a chunky weight yarn. And this is their new triple twist, okay? Triple twist is kind of like farm twist, where they take farm twist is 2 TMLs twisted. Well, triple twist is 3 TMLs twisted. And you can get a worsted weight gauge out of it, but I wanted you to see, this is a 6, this is an 8, and this is a 10. I will tell you that the 6 is very dense. If I knit a sweater out of it, it's going to be a snow sweater, okay? It's going to be pretty thick. It's not going to be one of those luxurious, real comfortable kind of knits. An 8 is okay. I think the 8 is beautiful. It feels good. You can kind of see, but look at the 10. The 10, I think, I would say a 9 or a 10, is going to give you the most comfortable fabric to wear. So if you're thinking about patterns, and if you're watching me right now, you probably found me because of the email that I sent. Well, I did the Hohi Locatelli big, the easy, big, chunky, easy.
Blah.
No, it's not the block. Anyway, you've seen it. And quite a few of you have called me, or you've come in to ask me about it. Carol P, I never used y'all's last name, was here just a minute ago, and she got some of the Wool Addicts yarn in order to do that one. It's a little different because you do the back first, and then you pick up and you do the front, and then it's all knit down, and then you pick up the sleeves later. It's still top down. It's an easy sweater. You're gonna really enjoy it. But like I said, there's so many different ways to knit. But this is a whole year-long process. So let's just take it baby steps at a time. If you have any questions, it said, all right, Amber, it says there's a sweater project. There is. It's just a challenge. It's a sweater challenge for the year. And I'd love if you haven't knit a sweater, or you knit a sweater long ago and you'd like to try something different, I'd like for this year to be that year for you, and I'd like to help you out with it, whether you're here in Georgetown or whether you're in Kansas. But Amber, I have a funny feeling you've already knit a sweater. But there's lots of choices, and the fits in the sweaters now are so open. It's not, you're from the 40s or 50s when everything is fit and tight. It's not like that. And if you know me,
Easy bulky sweater. The easy bulky sweater.
Easy bulky sweater. Okay, the easy bulky sweater. So let's have a great time this year. And I thank you for being with me. So many of you made it through the whole time. I so appreciate it. And I tell you what, we were full of people in the shop until exactly 4 o'clock. So I appreciate you peeking in. And next week, I think I want to talk about using different yarns and using a mathematical equation. Don't be afraid. Mathematical equations are not hard. I'm a teacher. I know what I'm doing. No, I'm a math teacher. I know what I'm doing. So that's what we'll do next week. All right. If you don't want to use the yarn it calls for, y'all have a great day, and I appreciate you being here. Bye bye.